Alright, so we will give this a try. And I'm going to turn that up to that. Oh. Nope, I'm going to turn that down. Note to self, mute yourself. Okay, so COFMUG this week, our function of the day is get host application version. And the reason this is going to become more important in the future and important for today's world is that it will return to you basically the ability to tell you what version of FileMaker Server or FileMaker Pro in terms of peer-to-peer hosting that you are connected to. So syntax is, it's a get function, so it's just get and then host application version. The result, if you are opening up just a local .fmp12 file, no hosting at all, it will be blank, no result because it's not hosted. Otherwise, it will return server, 14.0.4 in this case, if you're hosting it on a FileMaker server, and it will return, I believe, Pro and then the version if you're hosting it peer-to-peer. FileMaker's documentation originated in FileMaker Pro 9. So back when they really did, well, I suppose there wasn't a huge overhaul of the server edition between the 8.5 and 9, but still became useful. So you'll see their examples here. They say returns Pro 15.01. So if it's hosted peer-to-peer through Pro, it'll return that, Pro Advanced, and then Server. So the thing that we're going to find out tonight in our regular presentation is what does this function return when you are connected to the FileMaker Cloud Server, which is a question that is not answered in this documentation, or at least not this function's documentation. It might be answered in the FileMaker Cloud documentation, but somebody asked me and I didn't have the answer, so we're going to figure that out. So get host application version. It pairs up well with the other host functions. Host IP address will tell you if it's local 192.168 or if it's a remote file. And then host name will return to you the name of the server. So like if you register your server as like COFMUG FileMaker Server, that's what that one's going to return. So that way you can do security checks for like to make sure people are connecting the right way and nobody's illegitimately connecting or hosting your file. So like if somebody managed to steal your .fmp12 file, you could put in an open script that says, hey, if it's not this host application or this host name, exit application. And you know that open script runs for the most part all the time, so that would help your security. All right. Does any?
But couldn't I get around that if I've got full access to the file? I mean, if somebody's
if you can get into the debugger, yeah,
yeah,
possibly. But it might be a regular deterrent for some other methods. So, but it's a useful things to learn. Does anybody have the specific use case that they've ever used host application version for?
Yeah, a lot of times just checking from one version of server to another to make sure certain features are available for PerformScript on server.
Yep, that's a good one. See if something is compatible with PerformScript on server. The one I use it for is if the FileMaker Pro version is greater than the FileMaker Server version. Sometimes we'll suggest that people upgrade their FileMaker Server version. We use it in our support routine that sends just a bunch of the get functions of metadata to us when somebody gives us a support request. So we've always got like a basic, we've always got a button somewhere in the system that says get help, and it will like run a complete list of diagnostic data for that FileMaker install to us. So that helps us out. Get that information. Snapshot too. Right. Yeah, it's the same one we kind of use, that debug function.
Is
Well-
it like a forget function?
Yes, I've seen
That one's like start high, go low,
Yeah.
instead of like start
Yeah.
low and build whatever you want. So that's a good one. If you have an internal company where you're an in-house developer and you're developing for more than one server or something like that, and you just want to have a connector file that connects to files on different servers and returns this into one UI file, you could use it for some like a consolidated sort of server management to get information about all your servers, and then that way you'd be able to tell like this one, like I haven't run this latest update from FileMaker on this server and I need to schedule that type of thing. So if you're managing like a hosting company, they like maybe what they do is they lock down FM server sample with a password, and then they connect to all the different FM server samples on all the different servers into one UI file, and then they pull all of the data together in one place, and then that way they would know about all of their servers, at least for the 3 get host functions that can be performed. All right, cool.
And the FileMaker Cloud, I'm sorry, I missed. I saw some.
Next topic.
Okay.
This is still
You missed
function
it.
of
He already
function
went
of the day.
Yeah, presentation's over.
You missed that.
Joe's gonna go on his hunt for dessert. All right, so that's all, and thanks again to Keologic for giving us this sample file, so I don't have to make one. I'm gonna keep using that until Tim Nadecker calls me up and says, "Don't use that file anymore." All right.
You can annoy somebody else and do function, right?
So today, if you're hosting, and I've only got server 14 on this laptop, but 15, obviously the admin console looks the same. Like, for those of you that use FileMaker Server, you're used to seeing this. This is FileMaker Server, the version that installs on either Mac or Windows. But recently, at DevCon and then soon after releasing it to the world, and quite a surprising speed of market, like bringing it from development to market. FileMaker has released a new FileMaker Server edition. This one is specifically called, I think its technical full name is FileMaker Server for Cloud, but its product name is FileMaker Cloud. And basically what it is it's a version of FileMaker Server that is streamlined to work with cloud servers, and specifically the Amazon Web Services server, and even more specifically the CentOS Linux operating system. So for those of you that are old enough to remember, FileMaker used to make a version of FileMaker Server that ran on Linux, but that hasn't been around since pre-7.
AIX.
I don't remember when it was. It was like FileMaker 4-ish.
That was before Color Duty, right?
I don't remember.
Before color monitors, yes, probably. Yeah, when they bring back the Palm OS version too, we'll all have.
If we have a subscription,
So
is this a separate purchase?
The hosting is you
We'll-
can bring. Yeah,
we'll go over. We'll go all over
It's
this.
very
The next hour, we're going to be talking about everything you need to know about the FileMaker.
And then you still won't understand it.
It's
So-
really cool. It's the big stuff.
Essentially, the new interface is going to be familiar to you, but it's going to be different. The commands you can do are familiar to you with the server, but it's how you interact with it is going to be different. It's designed to be completely run through the browser. It's not really designed to be run by, log in and administer the server, like assign your virtual memory, or
Yeah, from what I understand, you can't do that. You can't
or
access-
manage your drives to like move files around or clear out stuff manually. No, it's designed to be all managed through your browser now. So let's start off with not that. Where was I going to go? Here. Nope. No, that's the 404 not found page. Here's the page I was looking for. Products/FileMaker Club. So FileMaker's, they launched this in a hurry. It's only available on the 2 Amazon Cloud web servers in North America, and that's one in Oregon in the Northwest that services everything Mountain and Pacific time zone. And then the other ones is the Eastern Northern Virginia one. So those 2 data centers are the ones where you can actually set this up right now. They are very aware of people in Amazon's markets in Europe and Asia, especially Asia, they'll eventually be rolling this out to. I'm pretty sure they have to go through all the translations first before they get it out to those markets for localization. So essentially, how FileMaker presented this to the community is that it completes their platform of offerings. Although some people would like to be quick to point out that FileMaker Go for Android would complete the offerings. But the FileMaker presented it that people have already been, for the last 3 or 4 years, switching their servers to cloud-based servers because they don't want to deal with physical hardware anymore. It's outdated by the time you get it installed. You always have to patch it. You have to power it. You have to have somebody. You have to have that guy that you call to, to come over and fix it after there's a power outage or something like that. And the net gain for pro physical hardware has always been that your users in the building will run very fast on FileMaker if it's on the local network, which is true. That's still true, and FileMaker Cloud isn't going to change that. What is changing, though, is that there are less and less clients that have people that are just desk jockeying, or that have users that are sitting at desks in a building. Everybody is mobile now. Everybody is moving. Everybody's working from the road or remote locations. So it's less of a deal. Or people have multiple offices, and it's less of a deal now to have a wide area network FileMaker server.
And
So
FileMaker, as a file structure and a product, is frankly fast enough to not be a piece of crap on the way.
yeah, thanks to ditching the custom UI and switching to technologies like HTML5 and CSS3 for rendering. If anything, you could look back and say WebDirect was the proving ground for can we stream this entire application over the web? And the answer was pretty much yeah, except for PDFs and printing. Or we're getting there soon. So pretty much how FileMaker Cloud is based is it's an Amazon Web Service. And what that means is you go to Amazon's Web Service Marketplace and you register for it like you would any other product that's on the Amazon Web Marketplace. So it's kind of pretty similar to signing up for a SaaS application where you go to a website, you sign up for Amazon Web Services, and the difference is that with FileMaker Cloud, there's of course a bit of configuration involved after just signing up for your account.
Yeah, and there's 2 things to buy in the marketplace too. There's the server hosting and the server licensing,
Yeah.
or you can bring your own license already. If you already have your server key, you can bring your own. You don't have to pay for the server license. It's pretty well.
I was getting there.
I got there harder.
So obviously the plus side of this is you can get your own server that is your own. You're not paying for shared hosting with a bunch of other FileMaker clients, and you're not paying for a very expensive cost of hardware investment, even for those of us that were using Amazon Web Server before, to set up the Windows like M4 extra large, which you kind of need, you're running into like $250 a month just for your Amazon Web Services bill. And then you add on like a large drive and Glacier backup and stuff, and suddenly you're looking at like $300 a month for Amazon Web Services because it has to be running 24/7, and using it. So having a cloud-based version of that, since Linux is open source, you don't have to pay for the Windows licensing, so Amazon Web Service is cheaper per hour to operate. But also, since you have a product that is designed to run as a cloud application, you can upgrade it on the fly. So basically, it takes, like, if I want to double the amount of RAM that I'm pushing through my server now, I can set it to do that, and basically as fast as it reboots, you're good to go. You just disconnect your users, upgrade your RAM, your stack restarts, and you're up and running with your new hardware specifications.
From what I understood, it doesn't actually restart. So it basically snapshots it, destroys the machine, creates a whole new instance.
Yeah.
Like, from our perspective, it restarts, but it's like crap.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you're basically renting the RAM.
I
mean, because you have different
sort
levels.
of. Yeah. I mean, you're renting everything, or
Yeah,
leasing.
you're renting everything.
Leasing
right?
would be, like, I guess, more apt.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, and Amazon they don't spec out any of their stuff based on RAM. Like, you never just get to add RAM. You always have to move from one tier to another. It's kind of weird.
yeah.
You can add hard drive space like that. You can't just say, I want M with X's RAM.
Okay.
So what this allows us for, going the minimal administrative overhead, that just means that I don't have to hire an IT guy to watch my stuff for me. Most people that are kind of savvy with computers will be able to figure out how to set up FM Cloud, and the community support and FileMaker tech support can help people set it up as well. There's low upfront costs because you don't have to purchase physical hardware, and you don't have to purchase the more expensive Amazon Cloud versions or other cloud versions. Speedy deployment. I set up a trial today in under half an hour. It's pretty good. And I had to set it up twice because we had an old Amazon account. And apparently accounts created before 2013 don't have some sort of default setting set. So like you have to contact Amazon support to set that setting. And then instant scalability. Basically like disconnect your users, scale it to which up or down. So like if you have a slow period of your business, or like say you go from having 10 employees to 2 employees, and scale down your hardware down to where it's sufficient only for the 2 people. Or like you had a bunch of WebDirect users and now you don't want to use WebDirect anymore, scale it back down, and now you're only using FileMaker Pro.
You can also just have it turn off.
Oh, really?
So
you don't have.
Wow.
There's a cost for the Amazon and there's a cost for
FileMaker. So FileMaker, so you're paying for Amazon for your hardware, that's what you're hosting on, and then you're paying FileMaker for your license, but it's basically FLT licensing is designed specifically to run on this. FileMaker licensing for Teams because it's priced per user, not for server or whatever.
You can actually get the FileMaker licensing through Amazon.
Yes. Yeah. So.
I think it's not just cool for. I think it's beneficial for small people like me too, where I've got lots of customers, and I don't want to maintain servers.
Right.
I do now, and I make them pay me for it. But I would just as soon lose that revenue and not ever deal with it again. I think this is a good alternative in the future.
As an administrator, one of the key selling points of the FileMaker Cloud product for me is actually this notifications thing. Because right now, your server, you find out that something's going wrong when it breaks and people start telling you it's bad. But with the specifically cloud-based architecture for FileMaker Cloud, you get an actual, like you can get alerts that say, hey, you're using 80% of your RAM capacity, or your drive is 70% full, and with the scalability you can address that as you need, or figure out as a developer what's going wrong with your file to do that. So you can use OAuth authentication in addition to, so OAuth is kind of going the way of replacing LDAP in this sense for users signing in to the admin console. Although I suppose it's not LDAP, it would be administrator groups and local machine privileges. But it's easier to, so since AWS has an existing process in place for forgot password, you don't have to wipe your entire server config if you accidentally forget your admin console password. So that's kind of nice. We'll talk about backups when we get in there, backups and maintenance, once we get actually into it. And then, restarts can be completed easier. So they go on to say, like, is this right for you? How to buy it, getting started guide. And here is their complete program, including FileMaker Go, that you notice that it doesn't actually say for iOS here. So, everybody says it's never going to happen, but who knows? Maybe they'll release an SDK for Android as well someday. We'll see. So that... So they go frequently asked questions, or they paired up with this other third-party company called Arbitera. They're basically they're the ones that cobbled together the pieces of FileMaker Server to make it so that you could, go through a little form and now you have a server. So.
Click on the users question. How to determine how many users that need.
It's a unique person. It's done by.
Person. So if I'm a person, I have 8 devices, I only need 1 license. I can connect my 8 devices. Because I do.
Here's the problem with a non-FileMaker spokesperson running FileMaker-based user groups is I can't.
It just never clarified that.
Each user. I think FileMaker's official answer on the subject is yes, but only one of their devices at a time. Well, I mean...
But it's not, we can't do the...
So think user accounts, don't think user devices. And think only one account accessing it at a time.
But there's no, I can't just say, use it for the type of situations we were doing with concurrent connections where I have...
No, it's not concurrent connections.
I know it's not concurrent connections, but finish my sentence. I have an organization that has 120 employees, but they only have 10 workstations.
Yeah.
They only have 15 workstations. Do they need 15 user licenses, or do they...
Officially with the license, they need 120. It's not a concurrent... It's not a concurrent license.
Time card thing we talked about last month or the month before, where people are just signing in and doing their time cards. Seems awfully expensive.
Yeah. Hard to tell.
Individual license for each employee.
Yeah, well, I've already heard the same thing from 100 different people on the community, so if you want to tell FileMaker your thoughts on that, I can tell you where to contact them. I can even give you some good phone numbers to call some very specific people up and tell them how you feel, but no, they obviously FileMaker is trying to switch to a specific licensing model. Eventually, it may switch to the ability to have like a generic user account that can do multiple devices at the same time. I don't know, but in terms of reading verbatim out of and interpreting the legality of their license agreement, a physical warm body is 1 license. So if you have 120 warm bodies, that's 120 people.
So you couldn't use this...
Even if there's only...
You basically couldn't use this for any solution that has any kind of open component to it. So say Like they always have that motorcycle demo where they made a kiosk thing running in a bunch of motorcycle shops. You couldn't use this license with that because you just have customers who might be using it.
Right.
You can't just buy a license for every customer.
Are you familiar with the don't ask, don't tell policy?
They're the one dropping the word legality.
So what's
I mean, to me, not that I have a complaint one way or the other. Sounds
So
like
legally-
it's a major change from the way things were before. So you need to update.
Legally, you need 120 users license. In actuality, it still performs the same way concurrent licenses do. It's per connection. It's not per user account because they don't do user accounts in the server level yet.
Yeah. And
But once they switch, or if they switch to doing server-based user management, and I'm talking about going into your admin console, setting up a user in here,
Oh.
and saying this user has access to these files.
Okay.
Until they do that, they won't be able to enforce it. They can't.
And I still have a customer that they've got FileMaker accounts assigned to site locations as well. So we have, this elementary school just had one login that 7 people can use. Just like,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
I've seen places like that.
There's no biometric component of this that is authenticating somebody's fingerprint or eye reader, or turning on their web camera and checking to make sure that that same person is there every single day. But that's what I mean. Like, you ask FileMaker and you tell them, like, what's from stopping me to do this, and they'll be like, nothing. The thing that you clicked on that said I agree to these terms and conditions. That's why I'm saying the legality of it is.
it just seems weird that they would bring out something like WebDirect that we can finally do these public forums with, and then they give you the technical means to solve a whole new class of business problems, and then they hit you with a license and say, by the way, don't do any of that. Is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get the kind of turnover for people making calls about the direction of the software that FileMaker's had. I mean,
Hopefully we'll find out more. They're having I'm sure you guys all saw it, they're having a road mapping webinar on November 30th.
Yes. So I think I signed up for that.
It shows the end.
oh well, we're getting there. My phone can only stream so fast.
So are you paying per database?
No, it's per server. You can still host the 125
Oh, okay.
files.
So you can
Most of the
have-
technical specifications are the same. We'll go over some of the caveats after I show you a little bit about the setup. So here is the marketplace, and some points of time, FileMaker actually shows up on the front page. I saw it at least once there. It's not there now. So if I just search for FileMaker, here's FileMaker. You'll notice there's 6 safety nets here now too. Well, yeah. So you have 5, 10, 25, and 100 users. I thought they had a 50 user license as well, but
You get to bring your own license.
they also have bring your own license, which. So essentially, what you want to do is you go to the store. Basically, they give you kind of an outline of what you're running. This is CentOS, it's 64-bit. Here's all the Amazon services that'll be set up for you. And then here's the basic kind of costs that you're looking at running. So you have your software cost, that's the FileMaker cost, and then you have your EC2 cost, which is the Amazon services cost. So you'll see like your Amazon service for like an average server is only 5 cents an hour, 5.2 cents an hour. The FileMaker cost is $1 an hour to run. So basically $1.42 an hour. So
What does that mean per hour?
That means for every hour that your server is running, because it's cloud-based, they're charging you this amount. But you can turn off your server between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. every morning if you want to.
For 8
And
hours,
that will-
it'd be $8 plus
Well,
EPT.
So you're looking at
Yeah.
So $10 a day or whatever,
right.
or 5. That's a 5, yeah, 5.
Depending. Bring your own license might be cheaper. I'm not sure where this 99 cents an hour is coming from.
Look at this, it's like $800 a month for 5 users. Leave it up and run all the time.
I don't know. That's
How
why
long
I
would
said.
you need to? I mean, for an average office type thing
Yeah, but if people are wanting to work remotely, you don't know what time they're going to work. I mean, if it's really set up to be.
So while you're looking that up, I'll keep going through here. So
Multi-users,
on the next screen, you're given your options for pricing. So there's your hourly. Here's your annual fee.
Is it
There you go.
discount for annual?
There's your subscription. This is the FileMaker software price, isn't it? It's the
Okay.
pricing's the same because this is AWS and it doesn't matter. Your annual price is going to be the same. So your annual price for 5 users is $888. That's an FLT 5-pack for AVLA.
For the
But
whole
the
thing, or is that?
Is the EC2 cheaper anyway?
And
So
these
this is software pricing.
Oh, okay.
This
I
is
see.
the FileMaker component of this. This
Okay.
is not the
Yeah,
AWS.
Not,
And
okay.
and this is FileMaker for Teams too, so that's your FileMaker Pro for those 5 users as well.
That is your
okay, so
FileMaker
that
Pro and
includes-
server, yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So
Oh, okay.
includes the clients. Okay.
License for all 5.
Yeah, you got diagrams stuff.
So then, this is where most people get lost. You can launch it using these buttons right here, but it's also under usage statistics. But basically, you choose which server you want to launch it from, or which cloud, and then it's going to automatically select this design template for you. And this is where the template for setting up your FileMaker Cloud Server. So you'll notice this is creating a stack, and what a stack is just a group of different Amazon Web Services products. So like your Drive is with EBS, which is Elastic Drive, I forget what it is. Your server is your CentOS cloud server. So like your actual server is separate from your storage space. So you're grouping these different things together in one template. And you can actually go in here and I think you can view this template. Yeah, so this shows you the whole, all these different things here for how your, things are mapped out. 64-bit parameters, resource types.
They just changed all the settings in JSON. That's kind of awesome.
Elastic Bank, Elastic Cache, Elastic Load Balancing. I'm trying to think of EC2 might be. Well, anyways, we're not gonna.
EC2 is the other type of server.
Yeah. So
You're thinking of S3 for the storage.
yeah. So this has a bunch of stuff. So assumably, you can create your own template. So if you want to have certain things in here, you can. I'm pretty sure there's probably a pretty hefty warning of if you mess with this, it's your consequences.
Yeah.
I imagine like you guys start selling this, you're going to want to create your own template pretty quickly, so you can just create servers for 2,000 customers.
It depends. Well, here's the thing: is though, like our selling point for FileMaker Cloud is to get people off of our servers and onto their own. Like we want them on their own Amazon account.
Right.
We want them like being directly billed for whatever they use, and we don't want to have
You can
anything.
still create the template, import it. into
Right.
there. Just to save
You said
your
for
time.
2,000 users though, and it's capped at 100 users for FLT. Or at least that's, I'm not sure you can buy more than that in one license. I think you can, but I think at that point of time you have to call FileMaker Sales to get more than 100 licenses. So eventually what you end up with is when you're done, you will come here, you'll go to in progress, and you'll see your stack being created. And once it's created, FileMaker will send you an email saying, here's the link to your admin console, now go configure it. And it's a one-page form and you configure it. All of that leaves you to here, your admin console sign-in page. And I'm going to sign in here. And this is the new FileMaker Server admin console. So they give it a new theme, and they put the navigation on the top, so that it would be more. It'd be the same as actually in FileMaker, because
Right.
FileMaker doesn't have a side navigation part. Even though
This is running on WebDirect from one server somewhere.
yeah. So
I was gonna
so
say
there's an
that.
alert right now. You can see average CPU exceeds 80%. I signed up for the trial as the cheapest server, so that's why I did that. So you've got your system overview right when you log in. They'll tell you who's connected, everything, your host name, so you can grab that out of there, your IP address, your FileMaker Cloud version. So instance, T2 medium, so RAM, system stats, volume status, healthy. And some quick use charts in here. No memory. Alright, well, I'm not really pushing this with anything. Here's your databases tab. Notice they said databases instead of activity, which is great because
Right.
activity was the stupidest name for managing all databases. Here's, here's my client's database. I can do all my actions right here, pause, close, download, remove. Got my clients listed over here, so it's kind of a universal screen, and I'm in like 640 by 80 resolution, so it's not the full screen over in here. Same thing. So this is what I was talking about before, where all of these functions are familiar to you. So it really doesn't take that long to learn anything. God forbid you actually need to use a search database thing to find your database. Like, if so, like FileMaker 5 called and they want all of their files back.
One of the things they mentioned, if you flip back to the dashboard tab, they showed the drive storage. One of the things that Richard Carlton mentioned in the webinar is that storage is really only for your live files. That space doesn't use,
Your backups.
aren't used for that space. So, like, I don't
Your
know.
backups go to a different Amazon component,
Yeah.
different drive. Speaking of backups, the Backups tab. So you'll notice that something is sorely missing out of all of these tabs here. You already knew. I was going to let them figure it out.
Something that says backups. Schedule.
Well, this is backup schedule, but you don't get to determine that. It is setting that for you.
Oh.
So there is no scheduled scripts, not just backups, no scheduled scripts. And
So no server
yeah.
side.
yeah, this is version 1.0. Well, you can still run perform script on server from one of
Right.
your clients, but
Okay.
you can't schedule
But you cannot.
something now. Still supports plugins.
Yeah.
So
Really?
like you could run a plugin loaded, like if you have the plugin installed on the server, you could run a batch using PSOS to run it on the server.
Oh, it does run plugins?
Yeah. I'll show you that in the next tab. Backups, so express, store, preserve backups and not deleted
It snaps.
storage.
It's not running FileMaker backups.
Right.
It's snapshotting the entire.
Right. So 1832 UTC 1812 1832
The downside is that there's no
18.
like, let me just roll back and get a copy of the file from this morning before I deleted these 50 records.
But can you download backup?
You have to restore the backup to get to those files. That's why 360 made that new service.
No, I don't have it. My recent
There's a
files.
workaround to get the stuff, get the file out of it.
So FileMaker already released an update to Cloud that came out today, I think. It was announced in the community page today. The other FileMaker Server update was announced yesterday, but it added this Backup Now link that will do an on-demand preserved backup. And what a preserved backup is it says right here, they are not deleted automatically and they will add to your storage cost. So I have one preserved backup here, and I am going to say undo preserve.
Oh, okay. So,
Removed it, and now it will go back into all backups. So when you click backup now, it's automatically going to preserve a backup for you. That's just like saying, I just did a whole bunch of development work or something. I want to make sure to save it. Now you can come in here, just do backup now. It'll grab all of your files, throw them in. But it counts against your storage space. The incremental backups are not, however. But to restore your backups, it's actually kind of ridiculous. You go into preserved backups, and I think you just check a box from one of your preserved backups. So if your server is down, like right now, I can go check this box, say preserve this backup, switch over to my preserved backups, check that box again, and say restore from backup, and it'll just go whoop and put all of that back right there. I believe since it's not actually, it may or may not actually be moving files around for these, so it's next to instantaneous.
Yeah, when they described that, that's what they were talking about. It was just create a new instance.
Yeah.
It would just shut this instance down and relaunch from that backup.
So here on our config tab, obviously we're going to have less settings because we're running on top of a Linux server that's already, we can't control. So you can control some stuff, like you can set your time zone.
It comes with that. Amazon sells an SSL.
Yeah, so you get a trial certificate that's good for 3 or 6 months, one of those two. And then you have the option to renew your certificate. It's a Komodo certificate. But here, and it's really kind of, I'm not sure where they're going with this, but they've got plugins for WebDirect and plugins for server. So, like I said, I'm not, and there's nothing really in the documentation that says like it's for either. I think it just enables or disables the ability to use plugins from WebDirect. I think actually enabling this when you're not using WebDirect at all may actually slow your server down because it's loading the web publishing. So all of the components of FileMaker Server now are completely different than what they were in FileMaker Server. It does the same thing, but everything was pretty much rebuilt from the ground up using the different components from that Amazon server like offers for cloud apps. So back when you saw that screen that mapped out all the different functions and roles, those are all like things that were kind of like you have your authentication thing and you have your backups thing and you have your, you know, like the web publishing engine has its own kind of like thing. So all of that now is different. So I'm not sure exactly how these are different. So FileMaker Go Pro session timeouts. Let's say I want to change it to custom. So 30 minutes, save that. And you'll notice that there is no save button here because everything is saved in real time. You don't have to save anymore. Passwords and users. So here's like your login. You can also have, you know, additional users in here if you want. Email notifications. It's kind of familiar, same thing. You can add emails here and they'll send you a verification code to make sure that you can send to that address. Here's our SSL. There's a Komodo.
Push the renew button. Give them some money.
Well, I'm turning off the server tonight when I get home.
No, I just mean, like, how much of a pain in the ass it is to put an SSL certificate on server 14?
Oh yeah.
Compared to
Well, So 14.0 v6 uses the same one that 15 does.
Okay.
So yeah, they changed it. It was really kind of weird. So you can add ODBC sources as well here.
But they have to be in their server, right? On Amazon.
No, you can add any ODBC to the
ODBC
source.
source?
Yeah, it just goes by server IP address.
okay.
So instead of using DSNs, though, you're using their specific set of drivers. So it only does support those three. And even if you choose any one of these, I'm not really sure what version it is. It's just kind of the version that whatever they built the ODBC component out of, it's whatever they had around.
Do you know if they charge you for the drivers?
No. Whatever Komodo charges. I'll tell you in a second.
Okay, yeah.
So here's my subscription. I can go back and change some stuff here as well. I've got 5 connections. Here's my instance settings. I'm on T2 Medium, $38 a month. That's what this costs. So $888 a year, $32 plus $40 a month, which is $480 a year. So so under $1,500 a year, you can get hardware and all of your software for your 5 group of users.
Plus your FileMaker Club.
So hardware and all software. Yeah.
Version control that you can download here, or you're saying one?
You always get the
Yeah.
latest version because it's an FLT license. So if 16 comes out, you can get FileMaker Pro 16, and they can connect to your 15 server. Obviously, they'll be, since Cloud's a different product, it does support everything that's currently out on the product line. So it is 15 server, even though it's numbered 1.
What's under storage?
Your EBS drive. So it sets you up with a 40 gig by default. You can upgrade. It's 10 cents a gigabyte per month for your drive space. So that would be added on top, but it would still be, 10 cents times, yeah, it's $4. $4 a month for that. $6, so $10 a month for that. $120 a year. You're still under 1,500, even if you use 100 gigs. Here's your download links for FileMaker Pro. There is a specific for FLT version to download, so I would definitely be downloading it from here. You can open your launch center from WebDirect here, which surprisingly you can't do with the old admin console. Like you can't open up your WebDirect launch center. And then you've got your ability to download logs from here. So you've got your web publishing engine, FMS helper, AWS manager, journal, gateway event. So you'll notice there's some new stuff in here because with the cloud there's some new stuff you're going to be tracking, some new stuff you're going to get notifications about. Speaking of notifications, there's the notification center. And say, oh, that happened. That happened, I think, when I was uploading this file. So product registration, I like how they leave it in here but don't require it like all the other FileMaker software too.
Should talk about the maintenance mode.
That's under backups, isn't it?
It's part of backups. But backups are part of maintenance mode. But maintenance mode,
Yeah.
it was on the FileMaker's website about this. But basically,
So here's your
notes order.
2-year SSL certificate, $177,
How much is working? Oh, it's save 11%.
Yeah, so
or save 23% for 3 years. 1 year is $99. That's about right. We normally quote people like $100 for an SSL.
So there's this maintenance mode that runs every night as part of FileMaker Cloud. It creates and preserves backup every night. It will create a new instance of the machine. There's also a lot of setting and optimization. at the OS level that we don't have access to. But it does require all the users to be disconnected before it can run. So you've got to set the timeout, like the 30-minute timeout that Mike said earlier. You have to make sure to configure that, disconnect the idle users. I'm not sure if it gives you a way to manually disconnect people if they are still using it. So if you got somebody staying up until 11 o'clock with zero time, there's a way to keep them off, or if you would disagree with that name.
Well, I mean, you can manually disconnect people from clients, but not automatically have it run.
Yeah, you have to run a work backup yourself.
But also, if it fails to run, it's going to send you a notification to tell you that it didn't.
Yeah.
So you can
At
still
that point, you can just log in.
take care of it.
Whoever's still on.
Do a manual one, or
Yeah.
slap whoever on the wrist was left connected and say
Yeah,
you're
the only
not.
thing you really miss out on if it doesn't run is getting a preserved backup. So you can just log in and do what Mike showed us to manually create a preserved backup.
Right. So there's nothing really much else to see from the admin console. It's the 1.0 release. It's, you know, it'll get better. There will be more features, but everything runs cleanly and pretty smooth. I haven't noticed any. We've only got this for a few clients out in the wild so far, but so far so good. You know, nothing has failed to load. You don't get some of the uglier timeout messages that you get with that. And to date, I haven't had to do any of the like FMS admin utility things to run it. It just, I mean, it just doesn't break the same way like Windows Server OS does. So
some of the gotchas I had in my notes, the way the backups work with, they just do Delta-based snapshots, those 20-minute backups. So say we've all run into this problem where some user deletes all the records in the table, and you just need to go import those from the backup copy. You don't want to restore the whole file.
Right.
You just want to go get a copy of the file. So mine has an article on their website from about a month ago how to, through your Amazon admin console, kind of log into that machine that's holding the backups and get a copy of the file that way. And then 360 Works made a product to help you expedite that process. So you can save them from like Dropbox or whatever.
that's what I was actually going to show next.
EBS.
So you can delete your entire server just by going to your stacks and deleting your stack. Like, bloop, gone.
Too easy.
Well, it does give you a very,
Are you sure you want to do this?
I mean, yeah. But also you need the ability, so you'll notice that what the control panel was lacking was the ability to like turn this stuff off, like set rules for that kind of stuff. So that is where your actual admin comes in. So let's see if I can connect
So we're in the Amazon admin console now,
SSH.
which is way more than
No, I don't want to do SSH. Forget if there's remote. So there is some serious stuff you can do here, like you can stop your instance. So if I stop my instance, any data on the ephemeral storage? Yes, we don't need ephemeral storage. Or at least I hope we don't need it. We'll see. So I can turn off my server from here. See some status checks down here, your description, public IP, private DNS, private IPs.
Oh, can you configure DNS from here?
You should be able to. But since it's running that action now, I don't really want to do anything.
Or we could just take the IP from here and put it into DNS wherever you're.
I would use this public IP or this public DNS, and this is what I would be like connecting to with RDP.
FileMaker users. Open remotes, give them something to use.
It's the same address as your web console. What was it? Spring FM. I forget. Nope.
Huh.
It's this one. They give you that DNS. So it's the name of your that you set up .fmi.filemakercloud.com. But they do, one of the other updates in yesterday's release was the ability to bring your own custom domain as well. So like I said, they're going to make improvements as they release it. So that is now stopped. So now if I try to like remotely connect to that, see if it's, I had it set up for FM Cloud trial, and once my phone responds, it'll say like nothing.
Yeah. Of course, because it doesn't
I'm gonna close my stack detail.
stop.
Close that.
It's pretty cool. Anybody using it?
No.
Yes.
No. Is this a 30-day trial? Yeah.
It's a 14 day.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks. Connection failed. There we go. So now we go back and
We get past the head round and get on to the golf ball.
actions start.
$1,500 a year.
See, it'll initialize. Takes. Can do some more monitoring. Image server. I wonder if it lets you do that. That would be cool. Instance settings. Change shutdown behavior. Much more like this. No. Scheduled instances. Does that let us do what we want? Nope, apparently not. Was I thinking that they... So they have the ability to scale up and scale down in the console. I may be thinking ahead of myself that they've presented that they're going to have the ability to turn it off and turn it back on a schedule. But I'm not sure that it's in production yet.
Maybe not. I think Richard Carlton mentioned that too. Though. So maybe it's just hard to find.
I mean... So yeah, that's up and running. Let's try. Ugh. That's what I get for you tethering my phone.
Yeah, it's better than connection.
Yeah. It makes you
Starting to wonder.
sure.
Well, maybe not.
Since it's initialized,
Oh, one neat,
Status checks. The instance state is running.
one nice security feature is it makes your users use encryption at rest on the database. It won't upload the database that's not using encryption at rest.
Yep. When you use the upload from FileMaker utility, it'll actually ask you to choose your encryption passwords. So it looks like my phone has decided to not want to give us internet anymore.
Oh,
Oh,
also
there it
my
goes.
notes. There's somewhere in the admin console. There's a refresh button. Maybe they renamed it. Yeah, right there. Don't use that. That's actually a destructive action. It's an emergency process only. It backs up all files, shuts down the machine, destroys the instance, creates a new instance, installs FileMaker Server, and pulls all the files from the backup. It's a poorly named button.
Yeah, that's definitely a refresh, but
It's
wow.
gonna be.
Wow.
Like that's a great refresh for Sunday night, but not for Wednesday afternoon.
So yeah, I think I'm pretty sure what FileMaker was advertising in terms of like saving money on usage was that you could scale down to the T2 small when you're not using, and like during seasons when you're not using it, and then scale all the way up to that M4X large when you are using.
You don't use when you just pause when you shut down the instance. Like Amazon doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
You keep a stopped instance.
But you're manually. I'm wondering if I'm wondering though how you can turn it off. And I'm not sure that you're able to. So we got limits. You can hit some limits, I believe. Spot requests, reserved instances, AMIs, volume, snapshots. Interface.
I misspoke. The maintenance mode doesn't create an instance. It just updates when the setting. There's no backwards. So it
Load.
doesn't reboot the machine. Maintenance mode.
Excuse me.
Auto scaling.
Settle with you.
That's right. You take your body code.
Oh, that's right. You got to go to the airport.
Dublin,
I can't imagine that. So, when you look through the rest of Amazon's like cloud, like you can start to see that things that may have.
If you go back to their main services page, it's ridiculous.
They changed it. This is it.
Easier.
It's still
It is, but
ridiculous.
you know, API gateways, different security services, Elasticache database, like some of the database tools that Amazon has is amazing for dealing with super large data sets. So
Right.
we're talking like, you know, Google-like ability for you to do type of head searching on 1 million records and from 10 different tables and, you know, 100 different fields all at once. And I've actually been playing around with that on my own, but analytics tools really, so like you can even read through like some of these and find out, you know, now that FileMaker has created this product that's based on these different products, they can now implement these as part of their server platform. Yeah, I didn't use the word. Leverage.
They can leverage the
Leverage.
FileMaker server to provide synergy across the product line.
Somebody had too much Kool-Aid.
So Kinesis is something I've actually have heard about, and this is one of their ones for aggregating data from a lot of from massively large databases to feed like the real-time dashboard thing. So if you come in to, you can sign up for an Amazon account for free. You don't have to do anything. You just go to aws.amazon.com and sign up for an account and come in and watch some of these videos as to what some of these things do, and it's like really awesome. And I shouldn't be streaming that over my phone. Already going to be pushing it. So what was I thinking of? So let's think back to like the last major change with FileMaker Server. It was really, it kind of was 12 because 12, the file format changed and the interface changed, but like the actual like features of FileMaker really didn't change all that much. 13 was the big change. That's when WebDirect came in. They scrapped IWP. They said this is the way we're going, like with these web-centric apps. But
They also rewrote the admin console.
in 12,
Yeah, 13.
No,
Was it?
12 is still Java.
Oh yeah, right. 13 was
Well,
the
having console was the worst.
no. Like go back to like 8.
Well, the worst that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
Worse than 11.
So, but if you think about it, now, like, in under 3 versions, they've completely, like, rewritten a version of server. So in, like, you know, in about 3 years after releasing WebDirect, they've now released this new server that's designed to run in the web, in the cloud. So if you think about where like the central point of access is going to be in the future for people, it's not going to be a hardware server that's sitting in an office somewhere behind like an overachieving firewall set up by some IT guy who is overly ambitious on your network for some reason. It's going to be this type of stuff where, you know, the average user or FileMaker's quote-unquote citizen developer, it's like Citizen King, can come in and set up these services for themselves. I mean, I realize like half an hour of time for me is probably for the
Maybe a couple
beginner
hours.
developer is a couple of hours, but if
Get a good PDF in there for notes of what to do.
or a YouTube video, or have them call FileMaker, because FileMaker is, you know, they're supporting this, so, you know, people can set this up, people can use it, and you don't have to pay more than like $1,500 a year for your group of 5 people for full-on custom software with iOS support and WebDirect support and.
So we basically,
Yeah.
this sounds horribly simple, but we've just virtualized the hardware.
Yeah.
Really. Because
Which-
I'm thinking,
yeah.
normally when I
What
think-
FileMaker did is they saw that everybody in the community was already doing this, already going and signing up for AWS servers and installing FileMaker
Right.
Server on it, and then complaining that the Windows version of AWS costs a lot more than the Linux version of AWS.
Yeah, because I know we virtualize servers at the department. I'm not sure if it's on AWS or they just
Right.
house it at the SOC,
Hyper-V.
yeah, or something like that. But
So, but yeah, I mean, it takes all that away. Like, even to set up a Hyper-V server on a bigger server somewhere running in your network takes longer than it does to set up this.
yeah.
I work for Emerson Network Power.
Mhm.
We're going to be changing their name to Vertiv at the end of the month because we got spun off. But our IT is doing away with all of our data centers across the company. We're going Microsoft, Azure.
Ah. So you chose the dark side.
Well, they did.
Well, Apple's cloud really.
Or you get
Yeah, no.
swallowed up by the dark side.
Azure is.
More iOS backend done on that than like all the Apple stuff combined.
That's because they were late bringing the iCloud stuff, the developer level iCloud stuff to market.
And it still breaks all
Well,
the time.
yeah.
Well,
it's-
the cloud kits look great.
So what I'm talking about is, even though we haven't, you know, Joe mentioned there's a roadmap meeting for FileMaker within the next month, which is great. And Rick Coleman's been, you know, the first to admit that, like, you know, yeah, we haven't shared a roadmap with you unless you've paid the $1,500 to attend DevCon, and then, or have somebody like disseminating that information, which they're not supposed to because it's under NDA. But the fact that they saw that there was a need for this type of product and brought it to market in under 3 years is really, it's really monumental. So it tells you a lot about a company in general, that they're listening to the consumer demand. And yeah, it's for profit, so the licensing still kind of sucks. But I have the feeling that, you know, by like FileMaker Cloud version 3, it's like all going to be very straightforward licensing wise.
I would say the licensing makes sense for 95% of use cases. For people using
70%.
But for most companies who have X number of employees that need to use the database, the licensing works just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the weird use cases where you've got shared workstations.
Yeah.
So
We
speculation.
don't do anything else on
Well, should I stop our recording before we go on to speculation so none of us get in trouble
Yeah.
with our respective and
It's the
VAs?
speculation time.
Hold on, I haven't stopped the recording yet. I'm not actually. Yeah, it said there was a stop button up in the.
You got too much happening on your screen.
I don't think there is. Have I not been recording this entire time?
No, I thought you were.
Show all windows. Let me unplug this 640. Oh yeah, there it is.